when we use the flamenco as a tool and as a means and not as an end in itself, then we can approach so many possibilities, and that's the universal aspect of flamenco that allows everything, right? To use it just as a tool, not as an end in itself, tied to all Soledad de Triana and all these things, right? So, because I could use the chords, just like I use the chords, G sharp minor, E major, and F sharp 7 to create this piece predictable. We could use it in other contexts, say, so you see, I don't know how to play this properly, but more or less it's just to give the idea that it could be on rock style, right? Here I can put the drums playing on rock beat, and it will sound completely different, right? The very same chords we use. So this is interesting, because even in flamenco itself, if you want to play it like bossa nova, right? Tick, 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 tick. Play it as bossa nova, Brazilian style, right? Or we could play it as a tango, Argentinian tango. Right? We could play it as a tango, as a bossa nova. We could play it as rock. We can play it as a ballad. We can play it as many things. So these chords are just a tool to create. Or even inside the flamenco rhythms, I could play it, say, in fandangos. Right? Like fandangos de Huelva. Just using the rhythm and using those chords there. But I can do the same thing on tanguillo. We could use it as tanguillo, right? Or we can play it in alegrías. Alegrías, 12 beats, 4 beats, anything you can do. You can play it as bossa nova, as tangos, as whatever you want, because those are just tools. And similarly, when we use the flamenco as a tool, then that's the key. That's the key, and that's the important contribution by Paco de Lucia, that he destroyed the barrier, the wall that was between the tradition and the musics of the world music. Right? So now, to create is not to do fusion. Fusion is another thing. That's a big difference. We are not talking about doing fusion or flamenco jazz or mixing it with other things. We are talking of using one element as a tool, and that can be universal, can be over any style of music. That's the interesting thing, and that's how I play most of my music or my compositions. That's how we created this piece of predictable, using flamenco as a tool. So listen it on the tango's context.
1, 2, 3, 4.
arpeggio is more of a classic resource, classic tool used to enhance that. So I took from classic there. From classic guitar. It's not al sapua, right? If I play with the thumb, it will do more flamenco sound, right? You can get that by the tone of the technique.